WHO, when WHO defines health and well-being, WHO suggests that health is a continuum. You know, health is not merely an absence of disease. When you have to move on the path of health, the initial phase is when you are in normal health, when there is no disease. Then you move towards positive health. In terms of mental health also, when you talk, you are going towards a positive mental health. It is here that positive psychology and all these well-being related treatments are becoming more and more popular now. And then you move towards perfection, which is a dynamic state. You keep on moving. There is a tendency to keep on enhancing the quality of your health. Now, when we talk of health, we know that there is a physical, mental, and social component to it. But WHO has recently added the spiritual domain also into the definition of the health. This is the sutra which Professor Shivrama was talking about, that in Sanskrit words, the chita means the pyre that burns the dead body. Whereas chinta, when you just add a dot, it means stress or anxiety. So this sutra says that the fire burns the dead body, whereas stress keeps on burning the living organism every moment. So this is the kind of importance the Sanskrit text give to this problem of stress. Now, what is stress? Professor Shivrama gave you the perspective of stress from modern medicine perspective. He gave you the definition by Selye and Levi, where stress was considered as a phylogenetic response pattern to a demanding situation, which is characterized by arousal of the sympathoadrenergic system, okay, in us. Now, how does yoga look at stress? This is very important because then only we will understand how yoga counters stress. So, yoga looks at stress as arising from the third layer. I hope you recollect that stress is in Manomaya Kosha, the third layer where the Adhija Vyadhis begin. And yoga recognizes that stress begins in the form of speeded up repetitive patterns of thoughts. Okay, so these are thoughts. It may be in the form of a statement that goes on in the mind in the form of a repetitive pattern which becomes more and more speeded up. Okay, like what will I do? What will happen? I don't know how to cope with it. What will happen? What will happen? So these kind of statements, when they keep repeating in the mind, there is a kind of a speed that is generated in the mind. That speed over a period of time percolates down into the system, into the pranic system, and accelerates the flow in the subtle energy pattern in certain directions. And then when it comes down to the body, it leads to all the physiological changes that we are talking about. In general, how do you identify stress from yoga perspective? The person who is under stress will always be in a hurry. This person wants to, even if he has ample amount of time, he wants to finish things fast. उनके पास बहुत टाइम भी होगा लेकिन वो उसको जल्दी खत्म करेंगे. And also there are certain signs and symptoms of stress that the hand starts sweating, there is increase in the heartbeat, increase in the blood pressure. Some people also report lightheadedness, and these are all markers that the person is getting under stress. So these are demanding situations. There can be an internal demanding situation or an external demanding situation. Like, what are the external demanding situation? External demanding situations are coming from your work. You have deadline to achieve, or if you are a student, you have an exam coming up. These are all demanding situations which are imposed from outside and the organism responds. But then there are internal demanding situations also, like I am too hard on myself. I have set very high standards for myself. I am perfectionist in my actions. And no matter how hard I work, I am never satisfied with my efforts. So here what is happening is my own ego, is becoming a source for me to get under stress. So it is in this way that the demanding situations come on the system, either to an external cause or to an inner cause. My system keeps on responding. I can either respond through initially through my psyche, which can percolate down into my body, and the response is such that stress is speed, and it just accelerates the processes that are going on. When these demanding situations are able to express themselves directly at the level of the psyche itself, then it manifests in the form of anxiety, panic attack, later on depression. Whereas if the individual is high in willpower, there are certain kind of individuals who have very strong power of determination. Then such people, what they do is they do not allow this stress to manifest in the manomaya kosha. They do not allow it to be manifested in the third layer. They, with their willpower, suppress it to the deeper layers, like they suppress it to the pranic layer or the functional layer. Then in these people, this stress starts manifesting as an imbalance of the autonomic or the functional system of the body. It may come in the form of a somatoform pain. It may come in the form of hypertension, in the form of cardiorespiratory abnormalities, hyperresponsiveness of the airways, or all those kind of physiological, or it can also manifest in the form of neuroendocrinological imbalances. If the willpower is still more strong and the person is able to suppress it even deeper, then it will manifest directly at the Annamaya Kosha, at the physical layer of existence, in the form of, you can say, the stiffness of the back pain, the catch in the back, or it can manifest in the form of diabetes, in the form of heart disease, blockages in the coronary arteries, or chronic, kind of headaches, pains, physical symptoms. So it is the same gateway through which a demanding situation works on the system, and the system keeps on responding to it. Depending on the extent of willpower of the person, he suppresses this at different levels. Depending on at which level the individual suppresses the stress, it manifests through different disorders or different illnesses. This is very contrary to the understanding that we have in modern medicine. In modern medicine, we say that, okay, that previous episode that you had, which was of gastritis, is different, that is cured now, and currently what you report as headache is different. But yoga considers that the individual is continuously under stress. So what modern medicine is doing is, you are just superficially able to manage it, but the underlying cause of the stress is not addressed. So if you block a certain pathway through the drug, it takes another path to manifest through something else. Say, for example, if you are a person who has skin allergies, and you develop a lot of itching and allergies due to that, and you start taking steroids or cetirizine, such, antihistaminics. After a period of time, you start reporting increase in the cough, like the asthma attack. So it means that the problem, which was more superficial at the level of the skin, now has gone deeper into it. And even then, at that level also, if the underlying cause is not addressed and the problem goes even deeper, it can become more and more central and can even manifest in the form of an epileptic attack or a seizure. So this is how yoga says that you are just looking at the problem at the level of the organ, but you are not able to look at the root from which it is emerging. And if there is a leakage in your house and you just seal one part of the wall, after some time that seepage will go into the other part of the wall. It will start leaking into other part of your home. So what you have to do is, you have to block the tap which is leaking. You have to go to the very origin of the stress and try to address at all the three layers of the body, of the breath, and of the mind. It is only then that there can be a holistic management of the stress. So yoga understands stress as speed. That speed can manifest if it just accelerates my normal, physiological processes. Then you will see that if you are under sustained intense amount of stress for a longer time, the aging process will get accelerated. There are several examples where people have reported that when they were under a chronic stress and they came out, there was a rapid graying of their hair. So the aging process, nowadays we see that the non-communicable disorders like hypertension, heart disease, even myocardial infarctions, atherosclerosis, these are all the diseases 2 decades ago they used to manifest after 60s. Now all these diseases are manifesting themselves at 30s. So 50%, it has jumped before, and it is causing. So one of the reason that yoga understands is that it is because the lifestyle that we follow today has got very, very speeded up, and because of the speeded up lifestyle, the speed of the mind has increased, the speed of the system, the response to demanding situation has become more and more intense, and there is no respite, there is no rest, and that is what is the root cause for the psychosomatic and these kind of problems. Now when you look at the traditional texts like Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, Patanjali Yoga Sutra also talk about stress, and the word that Patanjali uses for stress is known as klesha. So what is the meaning of the word klesha? Klesha is a deep agitation or affliction of the mind-body complex. Why does that happen? Patanjali actually provides a complete cascade through which stress accumulates in the system. How does this allostatic load builds up into the system? So Patanjali says that it happens in a step-by-step manner. First is avidya. First is ignorance or forgetfulness of the source. What does this mean? Patanjali defines avidya as I identify my own existence with something which I am not. Okay, so I consider that my whole existence is only limited to my physical existence. There is no other dimension to my existence. Then what happens? Body and my possessions, my material possessions become very, very vital to me, because without them, I do not exist. And then comes asmita. So asmita is identification of my I-ness, my I-ness with my objects. So there is a difference between using the body as a tool for my expression and considering myself as this body. So this is asmita, and the stronger the identification with the material existence and mind body complex, the stronger is the attachment of the senses with the objects. This is known as raga. Raga is a tendency to get attached towards the objects of liking, and dvesha is a tendency to move away from the sense objects which you dislike. So there are 5 sense organs, which is hearing, seeing, smelling, touching, So in all those smelling and so eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and touch. So in all these 5 sense organs, according to yoga, there are forces of raga and dvesha. It means there is something that you like to see, there is something you do not like to see, there is something you like to hear, there are some things you do not like to hear. In the same way for other sense organs. So when does the abhinivesha or the fear come? It is when I have to go through thing which I do not like. Say I have dvesha towards something, and life, the situation of life is such that it is forcing me towards the situation which I do not want. This is one cause of stress. Second is when I am not able to put myself in a situation where I want to be. So I want something and I'm not able to get it. It generates fear and stress. I do not want something, but I have to go through it. That generates fear and stress. So these are very, fundamental mechanisms through which stress accumulates in the system according to yoga. So speed and constriction, one example that people give here is about driving. Imagine that a person is driving at 20 kilometer per hour. What will happen? His speed will be slow, and he will be able to, look at the road, look at the people who are crossing. He will also be able to look around, appreciate the journey, so he is more under control. Then what happens if the speed keeps on increasing? For example, if he keeps on pressing on the accelerator, and now he has crossed 70, now 80, now 90, now 100. Now what happens? With speed, what is happening? With speed, his field of vision is becoming more and more restricted. Now he cannot see anything else, but he has to be highly focused and attentive only on the road. Okay? And with speed, another problem that happens is that there are more chances that he is going to lose control. So he will not be able to take sudden turns. He will not be able to adapt himself to sudden changes if he becomes more and more speeded up. So speed makes you more rigid. Speed makes you more constricted. So with this cognitive rigidity and constriction, stress manifests. So yoga believes in enhancing cognitive flexibility and expansion. And through this mechanism, yoga tries to reduce stress. Okay, Parul has raised her hand. Yes, Parul, you can ask.
So I wanted to understand if there could be some examples with Raga, Vidya, like it mentions that stronger attachment between senses and object. Maybe an example, if you could share that, it'd be helpful.
Yes, yes. Say, for example, I am working here, and I have planned a kind of a outing with my family in the evening, and everybody has prepared for it. And in the last moment, I get a call from BNG sir that I have to join or receive a person, a guest who is coming at Nimhans, and I have to be with him throughout the evening. Okay. Now my raga is towards my family. I want to spend time with my family, but the situation is such because of my job that I cannot do that, and I have to take care of a guest whom I do not like, I do not want. So what will it do to me? What it will do is it will generate a agitation in me, which will manifest in my mind in the form of a thought. Why me always? I don't know when this will end up. No. So that kind of a situation more and more intensely will manifest in me in the form of agitation. And when the guest comes, I have to still keep smiling, but that agitation will be keep building within me. So in this way, the stress will manifest in the form of speed when there is raga or dvesha inside the system. See, ultimately, I have no choice, that I cannot change it. I have to go through it. My worrying or becoming agitated is not going to change my situation, but it is it is the demanding situation, that response that my system generates because of a habitual pattern, that is more harmful for me. Yeah, Revati.
Sir, sir, this is a common situation we face every day, like it happens. So, what does Patanjali tell as a solution for this, sir?
Yes.
Is there anything they talk about?
Very beautiful. So definitely, first we need to understand the problem properly. First we need to understand the problem properly and then go to the root cause. Patanjali has given the flow because we should be step by step be able to go back and reach the root cause. So for that only there are different paths of yoga, but then the mechanism through which they work is what we have to understand. This is an example. What I gave you was an example of acute stress. That okay, fine, once some guest came and I had to take care of them and I adjusted myself, it was okay. Now imagine that I am having a boss, who has such a nature that he deliberately, puts me in a situation where again and again I have to go against the things that I like. I am being put, my boss exactly understands what kind of work I do not like, and he puts me exactly into that kind of a work. There are few people like that. They enjoy when others suffer. So if that is a kind of a situation, or uh, I do not like my job, but I have to do it because I cannot sustain myself anywhere else, or I am in a strained kind of a relationship, our relationship has almost died, but we are just together because we have our children, and we cannot let the children suffer. So I cannot take divorce, but I cannot live with this person also. So life is going on. So in such situations, when the stress becomes chronic, then what happens? This demanding situation, which was a acute stressor in one rare situation, becomes a daily kind of a pattern, a habitual pattern for my system. This is known as allostatic load, where my neuroendocrinological mechanisms slowly start giving away their ability to reach back to homeostasis. They start putting themselves into a new set point. When there was this one rare situation, when the guest came, I became very angry. My BP shooted up to 160 by 100. My blood sugar went up. But okay, the evening was gone. The guest went off. After that, next day, I was able to go out with my family. Everything again came back to normalcy. This is okay. But now, if I am in such a job that again and again I have to compromise my desires every time, then what happens? That response pattern within me, accumulates in the form of allostatic load. Strictly speaking, it accumulates in the form of chemicals like corticotropin releasing hormone, cortisol, and noradrenaline into the system. And it keeps on building up. And it also brings a neuroadaptive changes into my brain, where my threshold to respond to a stressful situation also keeps on going low. You would have seen, our moms, ladies who have been listening to their husbands for years together, always saying yes for whatever they say, not allowing their own liking or disliking to manifest and suppressing it. After certain years, you see that even a little irritation, even a little thing which the husband say, they tend to overreact to it. They say, now I cannot tolerate even little bit. Hmm? So, so please, so we also wonder why she reacted so much to such a small thing. So it is not a reaction to that event. Her allostatic load has been building for years together, and now her neuroadaptation has taken place in such a way that her set point for expressing her emotions, that negative emotions that have been accumulated into her, are now getting released at a lower set point. This is psychologically. Physiologically, now her blood pressure, even at rest, even if she is going out with family, the resting blood pressure is above 160 by 100. She is hypertensive. The blood sugar you check is going above 200 fasting. She is diabetic. So it is in this way that the allostatic load, this kind of a response pattern to demanding situations without understanding the physiological changes that it brings within us, and that allostatic load slowly over a period of time brings a change in the neural networks in the way we adapt to these situations, and leads to a chronically high states of neurotransmitters such as noradrenaline, CRH, cortisol, and bringing a lower and lower threshold for negative emotional expressions or tolerance of negative emotions. We get into the whirlpool of the stress and stress related disorders. Okay, so these, my friends, is the root cause. That is the problem, that modern medicine is not able to cure diabetes by a pill. That is the reason that modern medicine is not able to cure hypertension by giving antihypertensives, because you are not looking at the allostatic load in the system of that person. And there is nothing that you are doing to address that. So yoga understands stress in this profound way. And this I already discussed with you, that this particular stress can accumulate and go deeper and deeper into the system, and lead to imbalance in the 3 layers. Now, Revati was asking me, what does Patanjali say? Where is the solution? Solution is also within. You see, all the imbalances are in the first 3 layers, but there are these 2 deeper layers which are known as the Vijnana and Anandamaya Kosha, the layer of bliss and the layer of insight, the layer of self-reflection and self-awareness. They also lie within you. But when speed becomes too much, your vision becomes very narrow and tunneled, you lose that awareness of your own potential to come out of this loop. So the whole path of yoga is reducing the speed, relaxing the system so that one is able to gain access to the layer of insight and then the layer of inner bliss. That has a anti-stress mechanism. So the most important point that all of you have to understand is that yoga uses a cycle of stimulation and relaxation to reduce the speed. Say, for example, if you are running at, if the vehicle is going at a speed of 100 miles an hour, okay, and you say that I want to relax, your mind has developed a habit for years together of running at 100 miles an hour. And now you want to suddenly relax. What will happen if at such speed, if the car is going and you suddenly put on your brakes? Definitely the car will lose control and you will meet with an accident. So what you have to do here is you have to gradually reduce your gear from the third gear to second gear to first gear to reducing the speed. When you reach 20 miles an hour, you put a brake, you come to a smooth halt. So it is in this way that for speeded up minds, you cannot suddenly give slow practices. So the practice intensity and speed has to match the speed of the mind in the beginning and gradually bring the mind to lower and lower and lower speed. So therefore, when a person is stressed, we start with more intense speeded up technique to tighten and relax the body. It starts with the body, then goes on to the breath. In the breathing also, you first give fast breathing, then give slow breathing. Then when it comes to the level of the mind, you initially give fast mantra chants, then make the mantra chant slower and slower, slower and slower, focusing on the vibration, and then reach a complete state of silence, and then take the person to a guided relaxation and expansion. So this is the logic through which we try to progress in yoga. Stimulate, relax, again stimulate, again relax, and keep on reducing the intensity of stimulation. Begin with more stimulation and relaxation and then keep on reducing. So here you reach the final state of calmness, which is nothing but greater self-awareness. Okay? Yeah, any question? You can say yoga, as in yogasana pranayama, has been proven to change the level of stress significantly. Yes, there are number of papers that yoga reduces allostatic load. Yoga brings down the cortisol levels. Predominant mechanism through which yoga works is down regulation of hypothalamo-pituitary adrenal axis. Okay, so this is a very, very vital part of understanding how yoga works. And yeah, one more thing that I would like to tell you before we go into the yoga session. Let me just share. Yeah. So here, dear friends, when you want to relax yourself, the awareness plays a very important role. And there are 4 types of yogic awareness, that you use to expand yourself. So you begin by pointed awareness, awareness at a particular point of the body. Specifically, when you are doing asanas, you keep your awareness on the weight bearing part of your body, or whichever asanas that are connected to the ground and taking down the weight. Where is your center of gravity and how you are transferring the weight? Those pointed awareness. Also, if he is a good yoga therapist, he will again and again bring your awareness towards certain parts of your body when you are doing asanas. Then you connect your breath to that part of the body. There is another awareness which is known as linear awareness. Pointed awareness is focus between the eyebrows, focus at the throat, bring a pointed awareness to the center of your palm. These are all marma points. So there is a concept of marma and relaxation of the marma, which is also very vital, which we will discuss. So this is pointed awareness. There is another awareness known as linear awareness. When you are lying down and you take a turn towards your right side, you feel the touch of the ground only on the right margin of your body. This is known as the marginal awareness on a linear aspect. Then the third is surface awareness. Feel the entire surface of the body. And then comes 3D awareness, where you feel the body in the whole hall in a 3-dimensional, 360-degree expansion and awareness. So this expansion of the awareness gives you more space and that has a inverse relationship on the speed. So the more you expand, the lesser the speed. In fact, when you expand limitlessly, your breath comes to a kind of a stoppage. And there is a relationship of the breathing also with the mind. Yoga says, chale vate, chale chittam, nischale, nischalam bhavet. It means that whenever the mind moves, the breath moves. When the breath stops, mind also does not move. The more agitated the mind becomes, the more irregular and fast the breath becomes. So therefore, you use the body in terms of developing bodily awareness and expansion. You use the breath to slowing down, and then you use the mind to expand. So in this way, you try to counter the stress, and that is how Patanjali, prescribes a very systematic process of starting with the, of course, you have to manage certain yamas and niyamas so that fundamentally your speed of mind has a lower intensity. But then you start with sthiram sukham asanam, shwasa prashwasa gatir vichhedah pranayamah. Stable and comfortable posture is asana. Reducing the speed of incoming and outgoing breath is pranayama. Swavishaya asamprayoge chittasya swarupa anukara iva indriyanam pratyaharaha. Turning the senses inwards towards the deeper layers of insight and bliss is pratyahar. And then reaching the higher dimensions of meditation using mantra chant, using japa. In this way, you try to reduce the speed of your system. Okay. So, any questions so far on understanding of stress, its role in causation of disease, and how yoga works towards this root cause? So far, any questions?
Mm. So Babita here.
Yes.
Uh, so like as we start no for asanas, breathing and all. So like pratyahara and withdrawing the senses, withdrawing dhyan. Do we have any instruction for that, or how we connect those things?
There are specific techniques. There are specific techniques for each of these steps of yoga. And there are standard instructions that should be followed whenever you are bringing a person into a particular state of yoga practice. And you should be very, very gradual, understanding the level at which the person is. So you will find that the people have different level of evolution. So you have to choose a technique based on their level. So in general, we see that people who are more rajasic, their speeded up mind, they have more liking towards doing faster practices, and they want more body based practices than cognitive practices. Whereas people who are more sattvic, they have more liking towards pranayama and meditative practices. So therefore, you have to make it a personalized kind of a approach. But there are certain basic principles, like I told you, you have to stimulate and relax, and follow a cycle of stimulation, relaxation to go deeper into relaxation. In fact, there was a study that we did where we used a particular technique known as cyclic meditation. It is a technique based on this same principle of asana, stimulating, relaxing, then another asana, then another relaxation, then faster pranayama, then relaxation. Like that we continued. And at the end, deep relaxation. And other group, we asked them to just lie down in shavasana, doing nothing. And what we did was we measured their oxygen consumption. The more oxygen that you consume, the more stressed you are. Like you would have seen in scuba diving. In scuba diving, they tell them to keep the mind calm. If their mind is anxious, their cylinder, finishes the oxygen more quicker. So it is a marker of stress and anxiety into your system. How much oxygen are you using? So what we did was we asked these people to do yoga in this way, stimulation, relaxation way. And other group, we simply asked them to lie down and measured how much oxygen both the groups consumed. So we observed that the oxygen consumption for the sleep group, it reduced up to certain time. After that, it reached a plateau and it just continued like this. It stagnated after certain time. So it came down by 40% and then remained there. Exactly when in sleep, rest, that it was coming down. In yoga, we stimulated them again. Oxygen consumption increased. And after that, when they relaxed, they went even below the stagnation of the sleep. Then again, when they were about to stagnate, we stimulated them again. And then they were asked to relax, so they went even deeper. You understand? So when the system starts getting into stagnation, or when you start getting into sleep, you have to awaken yourself. When you become too excited, too agitated, you have to calm yourself down. This comes from Mandukya Upanishad, one of the Vedic texts, which says that how you have to cleanse your chitta or come out of stress is by stimulating and relaxing the chitta. The exact shloka, it goes like this. The Sanskrit shloka says that Vikshiptam shamayet punaha. Anybody remember this shloka from Mandukya Upanishad? So, sakashayam vijaniyat samapraptam na chalaye. Laye sambodaye chittam. The shloka says, laye means sleepy. Chitta means your mind. When your mind becomes sleepy, sambodaye. Sambodaye means awaken it. Vikshiptam shamayet punaha. But when it becomes too excited, too aroused, calm it down. When it is sleepy, awaken it. When it is too aroused, calm it down. Repeat this cycle again and again. By doing that, what will happen is you will reach a samatvam sthiti. The deeper tendencies of agitations will be released. Sakashayam vijaniyat. Samapraptam na chalayet. And you will be able to go deeper and deeper into relaxation. And this is the way that fundamentally yoga counters stress and removes the allostatic load from the system. It is very, very vital. So I'm not saying that yoga will replace all the medicine that you are taking for hypertension or diabetes, but definitely if you are clearing the underlying stress from your system, you will not go towards more and more complicated version of that disease, or your medication requirement may come down with time. So the Mandukya Karika, it is the commentary by Gauda Pada on Shankaracharya's commentary on Mandukya Upanishad. I think it is the reference is 1.44. But if you just put in internet, you will get this sloka, or I can share this also in the group. Fine. So we are ready. Soumik, are you there?
Sir, one
Sir,
more thing.
excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Okay, Soumik. So you are going to demonstrate and I'm going to show some slides so we can do some practices. Okay, last question. Then we go to practice.
So I would like to ask, this is Dr. Kanchan here. So I would like to ask that you have mentioned Annamaya Kosha has different symptoms, then Pranamaya Kosha has different symptoms, and then the other layer, third layer, has the different symptoms. So is there any reference book where we can get the symptoms so that we could correlate what exactly is the issue with the patients and what we can give to them
Yeah,
as a treatment?
there is a book. The book is called as Self-Management of Excessive Tension. The
Okay.
name of the book is Self-Management of Excessive Tension. The author is Dr. R. Nagratna and Dr. H.R. Nagendra. There they have given 4 phases: psychic,
Okay.
psychophysiological, and organic, in which the stress manifests in the system. Okay?
Okay. So can I get the book in the group or something, or else we can get it from Google or some where can we get this?
Yeah, madam, you can order it from Esvyasa. Swami Vivekananda Yoga Anusandhana.
Okay, okay.
You
Sure,
can
sure.
order it. They
Okay.
don't give any soft copy. It is a hard copy.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, sir. Sure.
Fine.
Thank you.
So let us get ready for the practice now. We will do some practices that can help reduce our stress levels. Okay. And I request all of you to also watch the demonstration and do with us. We will do it for 15-20 minutes. Let me just stop this video and
Sir, do we need to perform any asanas? Should we